Hi, good morning and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2004, it's a Scion XB. The customer complaint is a squeaking brakes. When you're driving and you apply the brake, occasionally it'll squeak, mainly coming from the left front wheel. But just to play it safe, we're going to take all the wheels off all the way around. As you can see, I already did. We're going to take a look and see what the noise is and how we're going to go about correcting the issue. After looking at it real quick, I see that the backs have quite a bit of dust in the back there, so we're going to clean that out with some brake cleaner. I'm not going to bother showing you how to do that because I think you can handle that one. And then we're going to go up front and we're going to take care of the front. The only way we're going to resolve this issue is we're going to need to replace the front brakes because somebody did do brake pads on here. And they did what I call a brake slap. They pretty much took the caliper, lifted it up, put brake pads on, and never resurfaced the rotors. So there is a significant amount of rust in the back. And to be truthful, these parts are so cheap it doesn't even pay to resurface the rotors. So we are just going to replace them. So all right, let me bring you up front. I'm going to show you what it looks like and what tools we're going to need. And then we're going to get this job started and wrapped up. But first, before we do anything, I got to finish my coffee. All right, so let's get that tool set up and then we'll come right back. Don't go nowhere. Finish your coffee and then come back, I should say. Okay, I'm just going to give you an example of what you'll actually need to actually complete this job. We are going to be changing the rotors like I told you, so we have a new rotor here. Before we put a new rotor on, the rotor comes with a greasy film on it because they put the grease on there to keep it from rusting while it's sitting in the warehouse or whatever. So you're going to need some brake cleaner and a rag just to clean off all of this residue on there. Basically, you just spray it down, wipe it off, and you're good to go. You're going to need a set of metric sockets. You're going to need a ratchet, whether you use one with a swivel head or a non-swivel. It doesn't really matter. The longer the handle, the better leverage you're going to have, so use a longer handle ratchet if you have it. Something to support the caliper, a screwdriver or a small little pry bar, as well as a hammer, new brake pads of course, and my favorite, the synthetic brake grease that we use. Okay, a lot of times when you buy a premium set of brake pads, it comes with the synthetic grease that you're going to use to lubricate everything when you put it back together. I don't use these. I actually use the commercial grade, which is a much larger, like a 1-pound tub of the synthetic grease. So, I will have that. I don't have it here. I have it on the other side, but I'm actually going to change the hardware that actually holds the brake pads into the caliper. And you're probably looking at this bolt saying, what the heck is this guy doing with a bolt? A lot of times these rotors are rusted on really badly, and this is going to save your rear end from beating the heck out of it with this to try to get it off the car. So, all right, let me get the camera set up and let's get started. Okay. Now, I did check this already because I had to call the customer and give him a price on it. To make sure that these slide pins are sliding the way it's supposed to be. But what you need to do is you get in here with the screwdriver, in through here, and you hook it so it comes right out through the back, right over here, and you just keep constant pressure on it, and you pull it until the caliper piston pushes all the way back into the bore. And as you can see, that piston right here has pushed back in. So I know that these slide pins here and here are working properly. See how this slides now, back and forth? It slides nice and easy, so I know that the slide pins are good. We're going to lubricate them, but we know they're good and they're not frozen. All right? Now, what I was telling you about this bolt here, this rotor obviously is loose. It came right off. If it doesn't, in the rotor face right here, you'll see there's a small hole. You put the screw into here. You get yourself a socket, whatever size it was, and you just take it and you turn it in, and when you turn it in, that rotor will pop off. If it doesn't pop off and it's really tight to get it off, when you're trying to turn this, you see how the whole thing spins? Take a screwdriver, stick a screwdriver in here, and it'll turn, get to that point, and now you can turn it in without it sliding, and it'll pop the rotor right off of the hub. All right? That's not the case here because the rotor is actually loose already. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these bolts out in the back here. These bolts in the back, they look like they're going to be 14 millimeter, which they're a little bit rusty, but they are 14 millimeter. So we're going to take these bolts out here now. Now, if you're trying to unscrew this and this whole thing here is spinning, you can get in there with a small wrench or a thin wrench, put it in here like this, and you can hold the bolt while you turn it out. That's not the case. It actually came right out, so that's not the issue here. But you may have a little bit of a problem trying to put it back on because the whole thing may rotate. So, and I'll do the same thing here. And then we can take the bolts out. You don't want to lose them because you're going to need to put these back on when you put it back together. So we'll just put them off to the side for now. Now, remember what I talked about this hanger right here, right? What you're going to do is you're going to take this caliper off like this. You just put the hanger in here and you lift it up and out of the way just to secure it out of the way like that so that we don't have to worry about it hanging while you're working. All right? Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the brake mounting bracket here. Now we are going to, the reason we're changing these pads is because they're squeaking like crazy, and the reason that they're squeaking is you see this outside portion right here? That's touching into the rust on the back over here because they pad slapped it and didn't cut the rotors. All right, so we're going to, see I ran into the same thing right here. It's squeaking right up on the top there. Plus it may just be a poor quality brake pad. I'm not sure what brand they are, but it's probably just a very poor quality brake pad. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the mounting bracket. The mounting bracket itself is a 17 millimeter bolt. And we'll break these loose here. I am going to step in front of you for a second. All right. Now I will tell you this. When you remove these bolts, don't take one out totally until you have them both loosened. Because if you break one loose and you take it totally out, when you try breaking this one loose, I'll show you what happens. Now, if you took this one out and just had it totally out, and you're trying to break this one loose, this is going to rotate up like this. Not a big deal, but it's just a little bit, saves you a couple of seconds by doing it, you know, breaking a bolt loose first. All right, then you hold your mounting bracket, and you can take that bolt off. And we're going to come back to this shortly. We're going to replace these hardware right here too. Take your rotor off the car, and that's what I was telling you about with the rust in the back right here. That's where the brake pad is touching, and that's what's giving it this squeaking noise when he applies the brakes. Plus, looking at this too, it looks like there's quite a glaze on it. You can see that shine. That's never good. Okay, well, let's get the new rotor. Now, I just want to point this out to you too. I'll turn this so you can see. You see the face right in here? Very, very important that this is nice and clean and that there's no rust on there. Because if you try to put your new rotor on there and it's rusted, you're going to have a problem with a pulsating pedal. So you can do it three ways actually. You can use a scraper like this to clean off all of that rust, just razor blade or whatever. You can use a regular scraper that you would use to scrape gaskets, or you can do it the way I normally do it. I clean it off with a disc like this, and we clean this all off inside here so that it's a nice clean surface. So All right, let me do that. I'm going to clean this up in here, and then we'll come right back and I'll show you how to put this job back together. Okay, now that we have it all cleaned up, let's just turn this back so you can watch me in here. Remember we talked about the rotor, right? We're going to spray it. That was my rotor touching the back. Okay, spray it there and in the back, and then just grab a rag and you can wipe it all off. Now you'll be able to get this off of the face where the brake pad is going to touch into. Inside here, really not so important. All right, then we'll put our rotor back on the car like this. And now you're going to try to put this together. This is going to be moving all over the place. So what I normally do is just screw a nut on here. And now that nut holds the rotor from moving around while you're trying to work. All right, so that holds the rotor in place. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to take these clips here off. Take this off, and they just pull right out. If they don't come out, you can use a screwdriver to get in here like this and just pry it out like that. Same thing up here. Just pry it out like this. Now, I just want to point this out to you. If there's a significant amount of rust inside here, you need to clean that rust out. That's not the case here. This is actually very clean inside here. It looks a little bit discolored, but it really is nice and clean. What you would do is just put a little film of grease where the new hardware is going to go. Just like that. It'll keep it from getting any further rusting in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take out this slide pin right here. We're just going to pull it out partially on both of them. We're not taking them all out yet. Take this out. We're going to do one at a time. You know what? Let me bring you down here. I'll show you at the bench what I'm going to do. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to move some of this stuff out of the way. What we're going to do now is take a little bit of brake cleaner, spray it on your rag, clean off that slide pin so that's nice and clean. This looks like it had never sees on it, to be truthful with you. Okay. You put just a little bit of grease on each one of the slide pins like this. Now remember what I said, you're just doing one at a time, right? You put this back in here, push it in and out, make sure that grease gets around, and you see that little lip right there? Okay. Beautiful. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry about that. My hardware kit just arrived. Okay. Make sure when you put this back in here that this little rubber boot snaps right back into that groove right there. Very important, otherwise water's going to get in there and it's going to freeze up. You see how it went in all the way? And now we'll take this one here out. Same thing. Yeah, somebody put never sees on here. Never sees should not be used on brake bolts. We're going to clean all that never sees off of here. invest a couple of bucks into the correct silicone for it. All right, and we just put a little bit of the synthetic grease on here, like that. And now we can take this and put it back in here the way it's supposed to be. You'll feel it slides and turn a little bit to get it lubricated. And now we're going to make sure that that rubber boot pops back up. See? See how it popped in there the way it's supposed to be? So now, whoop, it didn't. Making a liar out of me. Okay, see? Pop right back in the way it's supposed to be. And now it slides just nice and easy. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, let's open this up. We're going to take our new hardware. Now these are, it doesn't matter left and right, they're all the same. Obviously you want to match it up against what came off to make sure it's the same, which it is. And then the way it goes on is you just take this, put it over the top, like that, push this in here, like this, and like this, and that goes in there. See how it fits in the back, right up inside there, like this, and that's it. Same exact thing here. Put it over the top, push it in place, like that, and this piece in there like this, and that's perfect. All right, we're just going to push this in a little bit more here. You want to make sure it's in all the way, which it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, now every place that the brake pad is going to touch, you put some lubricant on there like this. Every place that the pad touches. Okay? Okay, now we're going to go back up and we'll put this back on the car. Okay. All right, we'll just put this over the top just like this. And then we're going to catch the bolts like this. And like this. You want to catch both of them before you tighten them off all the way. Now, I might add this too. If you wanted to put the brake pads in while it was still on the bench, you could, or you could put it in here later on while it's on the car. I'm going to actually put them on while it's on the car. So I'm going to screw everything by hand. And once you have it screwed down as far as you can by hand, you can tighten it up with the ratchet. Okay, let me change my gloves and we'll come right back. Okay, welcome back. Always nice to have a new pair of fresh gloves on. All right, then what you do is you take your brake pad. And I just want to point this out to you too. This is the brake pad that came off the vehicle. You always want to make sure you put the pad on that the sensor is in the correct location as it just came off. You see, I ripped my gloves already. Look at that. All right. See how this is in the wrong position? This sensor here is in the wrong position. See? So this is the brake pad that we're going to use. You just take the brake pad Now, remember, you always want to have the brake pad on rounded as the rotor is turning. All right, you put the brake pad in there like that. Okay. And now our outer brake pad, there is no left and right on the outer brake pad. There is no sensor on them. And just take this and put it in just like this. Slides in nice and easy. That's why it's very important that you change the hardware and lubricate it. Very important. All right, now we'll take our rotor back, our caliper back down. And again, remember what I said, every place that the brake pad is going to touch, you want to lubricate it with this brake silicone. See? This will definitely eliminate any kind of noises that you're going to get. Just a little bit on here and inside here, where it's going to touch the brake pad here and here. All right, and we just put it over the top like this. Now I might add this. You see that we did push that piston back in all the way, but if you didn't, they make a tool, and there's lots of different kinds of tools you can use out there. If it didn't push back in all the way, you could use a tool like this. And what you would basically do is put a brake pad in here like this. And you put a brake pad in here like this. And then you take this tool here. Well, they make lots of different tools. But basically you just put this in here like this. And then you return it. Just like this. And then we push the brake pads back in all the way. We don't need to do that now. We actually do have enough room in there because we pushed it in with that small screwdriver or pry bar. All right, put this over the top. Then you push in a little bit on the slide pins just so that you can slide over the top of it. And then you take both your screws, screw them in. Screw them in by hand, both of them, before you tighten it up. Make sure they're both caught. Otherwise, you're going to have it off just a little bit, and you won't be able to tighten it up. Okay, and we'll grab our ratchet with our 14 millimeter, and we'll tighten up the bolts. This is actually a little bit rusty. Tighten this up. Nice and tight. Now remember what I told you too. If you're trying to tighten these up and this part of the slide pin is rotating, you just put a wrench in here like this, put it in there like that, and you can hold it so that you can tighten this up all the way. That's not the case here. It is actually nice and tight, so we're in good shape. All right? So now we're going to recap exactly what we did again. Okay? We have the rotor here. We cleaned up the face of the hub where the rotor is going to fit. We put the rotor back on. We put our slide pins. We lubricated the slide pins. We put our new hardware kit on here. We tightened up the 2 bolts that hold the mounting bracket on, and we tightened up the 2 bolts that hold the caliper to the mounting bracket. So this side is finished. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go around to the opposite side. Sorry about that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go around to the opposite side, and we're going to do the same thing on the right side too. All right, now before you drive it, make sure you pump the brake pedal a couple of times to bring the pedal up. What that does is it'll actually reset the piston into the caliper over here. It'll push this out so that it actually holds the brake pad up against the rotor. So, all right, that's it. If you have any questions or comments or you need any advice, just send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.